Michael says his captain needs some time to think. Apparently, that thinking took a while. So we're starting right on time here with a 5-minute delay of Team Liquid versus Cloud9, the Group B upper bracket best of 3 to determine who's going to be taken first in their group and who's going to have to play another best of 3 in the I guess consolation, something like that, determine second in their group. Anyway, Gods, what are you thinking? Cloud9 versus Team Liquid. I know we talked early on about Liquid being the number one in their group, the number one seed, kind of probably the strongest team in this whole entire thing. Watching Cloud9, was it yesterday or the day before? Do you feel Cloud9 has a decent chance here against Liquid?
I think so. Liquid weren't as dominant as we perhaps expected. They had a couple shaky, like 3 real shaky early games against the Ninjas in Pajamas. I think draft-wise, they weren't really dominant. They weren't winning their games convincingly, although you could definitely tell, like, all right, they're the more kind of experienced team. They just seem to, like, kind of outclass NIP a bit. For Cloud9, though, I don't think they can play at the level they did against NIP. I think Cloud9 is a team who's much better just kind of at the general objective aspect of Dota right now. They've been together a bit longer. Their lineups in general are a bit more 5-manny than what we saw out of NIP. So I think Cloud9's a team that will punish Liquid if they have an off day, like I feel they did against NIP earlier. Earlier by I mean yesterday.
Yeah, I think completely right. I remember thinking the laning phase for Liquid, even when it wasn't supposed to go as bad, was still pretty rough. That being said, Liquid seems like they do focus a little bit more on mid game than most other teams, and we can see some appearances of that maybe in this draft. Slardar first pick for Cloud9. They choose not to first pick the Lone Druid, which is frequently one of the heroes that is going to be considered by some teams completely OP and banned out 1-2, and other teams is going to see a more second pick opportunity. And they go for the more, I guess, malleable pick in the Slardar, leaving Lone Druid and Dazzle to Team Liquid.
Yeah. Cloud9 are kind of in that second boat where yesterday we saw one game of Lone Druid from them, but it was like a 3rd or 4th pick Lone Druid. They picked it much deeper in the draft against Alliance. And I think for Cloud9, I mean, I guess to touch on them and their performance and like how I feel like they can do, I don't feel like they got truly tested against Alliance. Alliance just kind of fell apart in a couple of those games, had really wonky drafts that were kind of all in. So the Cloud9 I'm kind of expecting to see is based on some of their previous results, but I don't think there's a lot to take away from that series against Alliance.
Brewmaster, second pickup. We talked about this a couple times. Brewmaster does seem to be one of the picks against Lone Druid, trying to close that distance with him, maybe throw the bear up with the Tornado. In general, it just seems like the best way to deal with Lone Druid is get some sort of hero that can get to that back line and can't be threatened by a simple Savage Roar, and the Brewlings are definitely filling all of those requirements.
Yeah, it's nice here to kind of start off a fight when you're going for some kind of like a death ball type draft or something a bit more team fight heavy, because right now Liquid are going to take some time to come online with a Lone Druid in theory. Dazzle's not a support that's going to offer much at all against a Brewmaster as well. So liking the opening from Cloud9, I think they have the ability to put pressure onto Liquid's draft. And we'll see what Liquid look to do to try and remedy that problem, because that's kind of got to be what's kind of going through Kuro's head right now. It's like, okay, Cloud9's going to be running at us, maybe not so much in the laning stage, but at least in the mid game, what's the solution going to be?
Team Liquid going to ban away some of the Lone Druid counters that we talked about before. The Lifestealer Slardar combination seems pretty decent. Sniper is going to be a routine ban against Lone Druid, I'm feeling. And maybe we're going to see Cloud9 go for the Keeper of the Light that we've seen before against the Lone Druid.
It's banned out already.
Oh, it is. Oh, Jesus, I missed that. Cloud9 very first ban, Connell. Boom.
Yep. That's a very targeted ban against Kuro, but
yeah,
I guess they just see it as an annoying hero they just don't like versing. And if they want to go for these early 5-man pushes, it is a hero that will stop that.
Okay, well, Team Liquid have their opportunity to maybe pick up what are some decent offlaners that are still left in the pool. We've got
Darkseers is always great.
Yeah.
Darkseer is more great if you can pair it with a nice 4-position playmaker. Which there are still, like the Earth Spirit's still in the pool for GH if you want to play that. He's played quite a bit of the Pudge, which is still
Earth
also
Spirit
in the
was first
pool.
ban.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, you're right. All right, yep.
I
Can't
guess
see
we-
bans today, apparently.
Yeah. Do you like I suggested Clockwork because I think I like an initiating offlaner when you're running a lone druid. What do you think? Do you think a mech offlaner that has been a lot more popular is best for a lone druid?
I think Darks is in his like own special category because with the right partner, he can pressure the lane a lot. So he is good at creating space. But I think in general, I definitely agree with you that having an initiating type off lane is going to fit better with the lone druid. Something that's a bit more disruptive. Often those like mech carrier type offlaners, your Darkseers, your Tides, your Underlords take a bit more farm and time to come online, and that's not the kind of hero you want to pair up with a lone druid,
Right.
because of the lone druids needing more space and time to get up to those critical items.
And with the Slardar already picked up alongside the Brewmaster, it means it's going to be a support Slardar, in which case Darkseer, any melee support is going to have a hard time dealing with a Darkseer in lane. Team Liquid actually got opt for a Crystal Maiden here as their second support.
One of the better supports against Slider in some ways. That Frostbite maxed out 6-second cooldown is pretty crazy. You can't just go blink crushing in willy-nilly, and if you do so, you often get punished by a Crystal Maiden, so it does give them some reliable lockdown to fight around, and I imagine they're going to be looking to pick up some core heroes that can benefit a lot from that Arcane Aura, because right now Dazzle Lone Druid's kind of like, not really anything great to fight around the Aura. Both kind of get some small benefit from it, but not all that much.
Cloud9. Another support. What's left? Warlock.
Okay. Fatal Bonds, the bear to the rest of his team. I mean, that bear's going to be very squishy with the lone druid builds we're seeing these days. So they're going very heavy on the team fight right now. The Warlock, the Brewmaster, long cooldowns to fight around in the offering as well as the Primal Split. But anytime those ultis are up, I don't see Liquid matching up in any kind of a team fight sense, at least not with their current 3 picks.
So for me, that says Liquid need to play a lot more into the laning phase and be a lot more aggressive there. And, well, that's a hero that definitely takes advantage of both the CM aura as well as laning phase aggression. So I'm kind of okay with this. I'm presuming they're going to do some sort of aggro or dual lane scenarios with Weaver and Lone Druid on opposite sides of the map.
I wonder how this works with the lanes and player allocations, because typically you would expect to see Miracle Matu playing like the 2 main carries, which would be Weaver, Lone Druid, while Mind Control takes up that more initiating or like team fight-esque role. And they have 0 team fight. Like, you want to avoid team fights, but I still think you need some kind of 1, lockdown, and 2, like team fight control. Like, there is absolutely nothing for Liquid. You're not going to be fighting into the Rock and the Brewmaster, but how you can't just solely rely on like farming and split pushing. At some point, you need to be finding some pickoffs and killing off Cloud9 core heroes to win this game. So that to me is like a must for their 5th pick.
I'm looking at this. I guess they maybe want to leave their mid for last year on the side of Cloud9, but I'm trying to think of what other heroes are left in the pool that we've seen frequently against Lone Druids. I think some teams have tried. I was about to say Ember Spirit is still in the pool, whether or not they want to run that into the Weaver. But I think Ember Spirit gets a pretty good rep here. He does have to deal with the Frostbite, but other than that, there's not a whole lot of disables so far on Team Liquid to deal with him.
You can still Remnant out of the Frostbite, I believe.
Yeah,
you know
probably.
if that's the case? Yeah, because
you can
Remnant,
still cast spells.
It's one of those. I mean, I've heard like players complain about where it's like Storm Spirit can't pull lightning out of stuff like Frostbite, but for whatever reason, Ember Spirit can Fire Remnant out. So it's like
Ember Spirit
mechanics doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, for whatever reason, Ember Spirit got the biggest buffs ever when it comes to the root mechanics. He's got a root and he ignores roots. Good times, but yeah, I guess that so the Frostbite will really only apply, I guess, when he tries to initiate with the Remnants. And then they've got some slows to slow down that extra Remnant Terrorblade.
There's the building hitter.
Yeah.
And something that will force Liquid to come back and defend or quickly lose key infrastructure. Another long cooldown to fight around in the Metamorphosis, but that's... I mean, that can be good and bad. It means when you've got those ultis, you're very strong. It's very unlikely Liquid want to fight into you. And then the bad is, well, the downtime in between them.
Yeah, I think anytime you're running up against a lone druid, most of the time you're going to want to have some sort of range heavy damage dealer. I was thinking of like SF or one of those heroes. OD was also still in the pool, but here they go for the Ember Spirit mid and then a ranged safe lane carry in Terrorblade that's also going to threaten. I think the timing that lone druid is kind of at its weakest.
Yeah. They also banned Tinker, which is like a must when playing Terrorblade. I hopped on that a lot the other day. I just feel like it needs to be said. You've got to ban Tinker if you're playing Terrorblade as like your main carry.
Yeah,
that makes Terrorblade just like a useless hero.
That was a rough game that we watched.
Yeah. I don't think Tinker would have been a great pick for Liquid because it felt like they must pick like some kind of control, but it works so well as a Terrorblade counter. They do go for the mind control hero in the Centaur, which probably puts Lone Druid in the mid lane. I guess Liquid did leave a bit of flexibility with Weaver as a gimmicky mid possibility, but the Lone Druid versus Ember matchup seems like the preferable one here for Liquid with their draft.
When Lone Druid first started picking up, I tried to talk about the fact that Lone Druid used to be a pretty decent mid, but we really haven't seen Lone Druid mid, or at least I haven't seen it. All the times it's been picked up, it's almost always been safe lane carry. Have you seen any mid Lone Druids, and how do you think that matchup still goes?
Very few. I've seen at least one, I think, during Starlight, but that was that's one. That one example I can think of. It overall, it used to work really well because in a straight up 1v1, Lone Druid wins the CS battle against almost any hero. You've got the bear as well as the hero to last hit with. We're still seeing the Lone Druid max out that Spirit Bear early, and level 5 Lone Druid, that's where you've got your kill potential. Normally you think mid lane is, all right, kill potential level 6 or something with your ultimate. Like that's when Ember Spirit reaches that first like real big threat. But for a Lone Druid, you hit level 5 and you potentially have a timing where you can put some pressure on. So I think Lone Druid does fine mid lane. The problem he normally runs into is the rotations, but this is not a very heavy rotating Cloud9 lineup. The Slider can and will very likely pose some pressure onto this mid lane to try and disrupt the Lone Druid CSing, but Warlock is kind of a static support as far as the laning stage goes, so it's really all up to Neuer to disrupt the lanes.
Yeah, and it's not the right kind of ganking pressure that you want, right? Slardar is he tries to run in and slither and crush, but that usually should be countered by a Savage Roar from the Lone Druid. So he may be able to pressure Lone Druid in maybe the first 1 or 2 levels, but later on, when it comes to actual ganking potential, I think they're gonna have to wait until level 6 on Ember Spirit.
I think it's like you say, just that first couple of levels where Slider can have an impact, and if Liquid are worried about that first couple of levels, all they have to do is send the Dazzle to the mid lane to start things off and to kind of poison touch that Slider, or even just if he runs in through a Shadow Wave, it doesn't really matter. Skill build wise, it's just about being there and offering that extra body to help secure Lone Druid that first wave or 2 of assistance. So interesting couple of drafts. What do you like in Cap? Like, do you like the team fight cooldown dependent Cloud9 draft more, or are you liking what Liquid have put together?
I think I like what Liquid has a little bit more. I think the Terrorblade last pick was a decent choice in Cloud9. It fit some of the boxes that you need to have versus Cloud9. You need some pushing power. You need to have some ranged physical DPS, I think. But the problem I see is that their lineup may just be a bit too slow. It's going to hit really hard at about 20-25 minutes, and they're going to be this unstoppable 5-man force. But I don't think they win the laning phase hard enough, and they're going to have a small window in the mid game. And then as we start going later, I think they're going to have more and more issues with Liquid's Lone Druid. So that's the way I kind of see it. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I could see them even when they hit that big, scary mid-game timing. They're still slow in the sense like they've got to like walk down a lane. They're not going to be able to make any like really fast-paced moves. Like the Ember Spirit, he's got high mobility, but Terrorblade, Warlock, these are heroes that just kind of pot along down a lane. And as soon as you see that coming, Liquid's got 2 great heroes to split with in the Weaver and the Lone Druid. So I think they don't have to meet that 5-man push. They can just go and tackle other lanes at them and force Cloud9 back that way. But I think I'm a little bit more optimistic about Cloud9 just based on how scary they're going to be and that they can force an early Roshan as well. With the Metamorphosis and with their teamfight advantage, I think a lot's going to depend on the Blink Dagger timings of both Slider and Brewmaster. Those first T1 towers really need to go down at a decent time around that, like Brewmaster Blink. You want to have all those T1s down, and then Slider's Blink needs to come online at a good time because he's the only catch they really have to rely on against like this Weaver Lone Druid is going to be his Blink Dagger.
Fortunately, Rise will be just ahead of this aggressive rotation from Liquid. They've got the 2 supports behind Mind Control. Laning ward does spot them out. They get a good aggressive counter ward that's going to block out the easy camp pull. Make sure Mind Control has a little bit easier of a time. Looks like they're just going to trade 2 for 2. C9 taking the right-hand side. Liquid the left. I actually want to talk about this Weaver and the item build. God, we've talked a number of times about the Desolator on Weaver, but it seems to be completely out of touch. Everyone's going to Fusa Blade. Is this a one game where you want to see Deso? Because you talked about the split pushing power that Liquid have.
And Diffusal's pretty good against the Flame Guard this game. I guess, do you want to Lincolns this game is probably one of the questions. I'm leaning more towards the Lincolns not being necessarily amazing. It is, again, it is though like a 3-position Weaver. It's Miracle playing the center and the safe lane. Actually, I did not expect that to be the case, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the Deso is going to be enough to burst through the high armor of a Terrorblade. I think a Deso against Terrorblade doesn't really do enough. I think you may as well just go for a more defensive build.
Yeah, maybe Diffuse the Blade. Maybe we'll see Mjolnir out there to help deal with the illusions as well. It definitely seems, I think, a better option than trying to focus on tower hitting and split pushing. Leave that a little bit more to Matu, who's currently 1v1 Baby Knight in the mid lane, and as expected, doing quite well in both harassment and getting some OKCS.
These are 2 very favorable 1v1 matchups for Liquid, I feel. The Lone Druid 1v1 has the harass potential and the extra CSing advantage. The Centaur against the Brewmaster may be a bit more of an even lane, but it's more the Miracle versus Hestejo matchup here. I mean, Miracle just is a mechanically better player. I mean, Hestejo plays that offlane initiating role. Like, you're not picking him to play that 1v1 type lane and win his lane against a player like Miracle. So I think this is a lane that Miracle should come out on top of as well.
And we've got the supports battling up against each other. GH, Noya's really trying to force GH to use this shrine. He was trying to pressure into the river, see if he could actually get this CM. He's trying to shove him completely out of the jungle. Make sure this frostbite isn't possible. What? Miracle, you can't do that. You can't do that to me. Get a kill against a brew?
The salve on the tower. Oh my god. He would have died to the tower hits, but the salve kicks in. Dang. Okay.
And that's going to be a very early Tranquil Boots. Wow. How does he just get that kill level 2 against a Brewmaster?
I think he just looked like he just walked in and dived him with double edge at the tower. Walked away. Just casual, you know. He used that first hoof stomp just to get him down to half HP, and then second one to dive the tower with. So Hestejo just misplaying the lane a bit, and again, that's where I feel like the 1v1 matchup is very favorable for Liquid. Miracle is just going to be able to outplay almost most opponents in a 1v1 setting, outside of some of those like top class mid laners like No One, Sumail. He'll do just fine in this matchup.
Ember Spirit 13-6, so despite all the harassment, he is doing decently in CS for now. We'll see. We'll check back in on that level 5 area. Hestejo getting a bit aggressive on a Miracle here, but if he doesn't keep up this pressure, you're going to see the power of Tranquil Boots start turning this lane against Hestejo. See Miracle dropping those boots, seeing if he could just keep that cooldown going and eke out a little bit of efficiency heal.
So it does seem like Liquid have been deterred from maintaining their aggression at top with the supports. The CM falling back to the jungle to get the early level 2 Arcane Aura. I say early, but it doesn't really feel that early. And Kuro now showing up in the mid lane for some extra harass, and perhaps just thinking he can force some rotations out of the Cloud9 supports, give Mind Control a slightly easier lane by posing a threat in this mid lane.
Yeah, it seems like most of all that GH God doesn't really want to be in that top lane anymore because Noya has so effectively threatened him and taken away that jungle option. He's going to go into safer parts of the Radiant jungle where Noya can't be as disruptive. And I think as a result, Kuro's going, you know what, Mind Control's best left solo at this point. My extra presence doesn't really help. So Kuro's kind of left with that at home at this point. Maybe a little bit of harassment at mid. Maybe he can rotate bottom at one point. But this is going to be one of those dazzles that's left with a question mark. Not sure what to do.
Nice Savage Roar from the bag. Gets the Arcane Rune secured for, well, the Spirit Bear itself, which isn't going to do much. But denying that rune for Baby Knight makes this lane a bit harder for him because he doesn't have that bottle refill at a crucial timing when Lone Druid just hits level 5. So this is where it gets tough for Baby Knight to CS. He's been on par with the Lone Druid up until now, but that's going to likely change with the level 5 pickup. At least, even when he hits level 6, like, yeah, you've got an escape, but you also can't really easily get in there to try and farm.
Mind Control continuing to play up in the face of Cloud9, 1 versus 3. C9 hunt him in the jungle, knowing that the Shikuchi was off cooldown, but Mind Control does stay a slight step ahead of him. Bottom lane, Joe goes down again, and GH manages to make that rotation.
Now they've got Stampede. That's dangerous when you could look at the potential for aggression in other lanes as well. Someone like a Lone Druid, if he wants to go for a tower dive, has that to support him. And ideally, they want to try and find even another kill on Hestijo before he gets level 6 himself. So, really tough bottom lane, Brewmaster.
Hestijo missing the clap there.
Yeah.
Slaughter is going to come over. They're trying to finish up their level 6 on Baby Knight. Then finally, we can see Baby Knight and his impact. And I think that first level 6 is going to be so crucial. Can he kill Matumba Man, who's currently killing Rise? He's going to be able to pick up kill for himself in that lane. Laning phase seems to be going so well for Liquid now.
Yep. And Miracle's just fine. He's played it patiently while he was low HP. Let the Tranquil regen get him back to almost full. He saw the rotation with the Observer with the Slaughter coming down bottom, so he's like, all right, this lane isn't all too safe. May as well get full HP. So if Brewmaster wants to commit a split, you can try and counter the Stampede away using that Cyclone, but there's still the big question of can you actually do 1k in damage between the Brewmaster and the Slaughter, and I think that's going to be pretty tough with just a level 3 Slaughter.
Baby Knight has his level 6, but he's popped a Remnant towards mid, so it looks like he's just going to head back to mid lane against Matu, but he's going to need a rotation. I really feel like they need to make some sort of kill happen with this big power spike in the Ember Spirit, whether it's bottom against Miracle or it's against the Lone Druid, but again, it's a problem with they don't have the right kind of supports to ensure a kill on Matu. I think he can still outplay it with the right Savage Roar.
Same potentially for Miracle at bottom. He's actually could be in a tough spot here.
Dead? Yeah, looks like it. He's going to be stunned up, slowed down, turns around, tries to get the kill on Hestijo, actually brings it pretty close to death, but does end up dying instead.
He knew the heroes were down there, but he just picked up his wand and raindrop, so he was at a very strong point.
Oh, Jesus, Kuro!
That is a happy support.
Yeah, very, very happy. What is he, all of a sudden level 5? Remember I was talking about he didn't really have a home, no real laning phase for him? Boom.
Suddenly, he's, level 5 and gets a good, 600 gold because he gets some CS to follow up the kill. Gets raindrops, sentries. He's suddenly got some decent early game items.
Yeah,
Potential Stampede now threatens Cloud9. Root at mid. Ember Spirit getting very low here again, and this is where Ember... His CS looks alright right now, but some of that has come from the jungle because he's been forced to pull back and leave this lane.
45, 46, and 15 now on Matu, contesting the Terrorblade for top CS on the board. But Brewmaster and Ember Spirit are still getting a decent amount. In fact, all 3 cores on both sides are getting a good amount of CS. It's just the kills that are really making the difference to Liquid's favor. And also the fact that Liquid have this jungler in Crystal Maiden, who's currently up here in the top lane. Ace may get caught out here a little bit, slowed down, managed to eat his way through the trees. So, nicely played there. He could have been forced into using a TP if he wasn't too careful.
GH already with the arcane boots, something you often see on the CN necessarily, but is a hero that sometimes struggles to have the mana pool to use all those spells once Freezing Field comes in. And,
Baby Knight, another remnant away.
And that's where I feel at some point he's just got to accept, okay, I can't fight this mid lane. He either needs rotation in his lane or he needs... I don't think there's a necessarily right or wrong between those two options, but something needs to happen involving the Ember Spirit. He's the hero with the gap close. He's the hero that can make plays happen. Perhaps give Warlock the mid lane to get level 6 and start rotating to a side lane, because right now Liquid are just winning the laning stage. Part of the problem is, though, if he tries to rotate, there is good ward coverage on the side lanes. The mid lane, the bottom lane, even slightly to the north side, there's Radiant Detection to scout any movement off of this lane from Baby Knight.
Miracle is very rapidly going to be one of those heroes you can't gank anymore with the Ember Spirit. If he completes this Hood of Defiance, that'll be a big magic armor upgrade.
Then the question becomes, who can you gank? Weaver, good escape. Lone Druid, good escape. Centaur, just too tanky. And that also has some escape in the Stampede, so all 3 cores will be very difficult to gank and will require not just like a couple of heroes, but 3, 4, 5 heroes to be invested in a smoke gank to actually find those kills.
Baby Knight's going to come over now, but with the ward mid and also the pressure and presence of Matu, it becomes a pretty clear read. So Baby Knight doesn't even finish walking bottom. Miracle already playing back and far enough. They keep trying to give Noya a little bit of space to farm as well. Savage Roars goes down. Looks like they really want to get this kill on the bear, but they did not have Crush back up. So not even a gank on the Spirit Bear is going to work out for Cloud9. Ace is going to be dove at top lane. Does have the Sundered. Managed to get it off. Pops a Metamorphosis. Looking to finish off GH. Freezing Field doesn't bring down Ace, but Mind Control will. In the end, well worth it. Loss of GH for that core. Now Mind Control is going to be dove up. Gets the time lapse off. He'll be good.
Yeah, that's Metamorphosis even used, which means if Cloud9 were thinking, okay, this lane stage is going horribly, let's at least secure some T1 towers, group up with the Metamorphosis, push something down, they've now got to wait another 2 minutes. So they lose the mid T1 tower. This is all going on. Matu getting very farmed off of this, and I am very concerned for Liquid. I mean, you kind of nailed it in your analysis of the draft where it just feels like they're going to be too slow paced. Their early game has been very lackluster. There hasn't really been anything happening on the map from the Cloud9 side. They lost 2 of the lanes for sure, and that one lane, the off lane, the Weaver still got plenty of farm out of it, so they're not really looking in very great shape right now.
I think my favorite thing is it's not just the heroes, but the way the Team Liquid's playing it. Every single time that Cloud9 tries to do some sort of efficiency thing, right? They leave Rise in middle, while the Ember Spirit's farming is level 6, or they're leaving Noya at top lane while the Terrorblade is farming jungle. They punish that so quickly. They're so quick to actually Mind Control's diving tower against Noya. The supports looks like they're trying to rotate and get a kill on this Slardar. They're not letting Cloud9 play an efficiency game. Because they are so slow, that is the one advantage that Cloud9 can actually find for themselves. Kuro is going to be caught out a little bit by Baby Knight. There goes the jump away on the Remnant after that Frostbite. Noya manages to stop the Freezing Field. Now the follow-up here from the Golems. GH is brought low, but now they have the Stampede and the Shallow Grave to be able to keep him alive. Noya is low enough, but Mind Control not really feeling comfortable with the dive here, especially with the Corrosive Haze on him. Meanwhile, bottom lane, they do manage to get the kill on Hesta Joe. Miracle brought himself to around 250 HP, still good enough, but is it enough to survive through this? He does still have the hood to be able to turn and fight, but the physical damage is there. He's got to stop. He's going to win this 1v1. Oh, double kill for Miracle. That is the one playmaking hero that Cloud9 have, and he just fed a kill to Miracle Centaur.
Yeah, and it's not done. The damage is going to continue. It's going to get worse. This top lane, okay, maybe no kills here, but Mind Control just continuing to be up in their face. It was a disaster before that Ember died. Like, you commit your first Warlock Rock as well as an Ember Spirit rotation. An Ember Spirit rotation with an Arcane Rune, and you get 0 kills. You drop a rock and have the Ember there, you're expecting 2 kills minimum, I'd say, and they got nothing. And then suddenly you're losing heroes. Like, that is about the worst possible case scenario for Cloud9 that you can imagine.
Matu's been the silent assassin of towers. He took the tier 2 during that whole entire thing. A tier 2 mid already gone by 13 minutes, and he's going to try and solo Roshan with his DD.
He's got a second bear, so I believe this is possible. I guess we'll find out.
Fresh resummon, and unless something tips Cloud9 off, which they don't really have any vision. Oh, maybe they could see the bugs.
At this point with the bugs, his Roche will drop too fast to get in here in time. Estejo's in the neighborhood, doesn't have a blink though, so he may just get Savage rolled away or go down. I mean, he just doesn't realize it.
Yeah. And boom, he realizes it now, but way too late. Liquid Matumba Man has an Aegis. He's got Dragonlance coming in. He's got a Maelstrom. This is looking like Cloud9 need a miracle to come back in this game.
This is currently could change. The biggest stomp we've had so far is DAC qualifiers, but I mean, Cloud9 need to hit that mid-game teamfight timing. We talked about the Blink Daggers like needing to come fast, or their early game being as bad as it was means they're not quite when they'd hoped. Estejo getting solo killed means his is, I mean, 15 minutes isn't too bad, but considering you have a 1v1 lane, you're expecting it perhaps a little bit faster. Slatters with the laning stage is going to be very late as well. And by the time you get these blinks, Liquid going to have all these tanky survivable items that make them hard to kill. I mean, they've got the Aegis as well as the Dragonlance on Matu. You're going to have lost all map control, all your outer towers.
Baby
And
Knight.
now
He's going to be
Miracle-
caught out by surprise with the Blink Dagger. Do they have the burst damage of the Stampede? They've got the kill. He can't even seem to finish off the Veil of Discord. Such a critical tempo item for the Ember Spirit to give him that big boost in damage, and he can't even finish that much. Cloud9 are now losing their tier 2 at the top lane. They have to rotate multiple heroes if they want to be able to save it. And even then, not sure if they can actually find a kill. Maybe they can. GH going to be caught by the Corrosive Haze and a Crush, but Noya being returned on by Matumba Man. They will manage to throw out the Golem, stopping the Freezing Field and catching Matu in the process, slowing him down. Savage Roar back. They desperately need this kill, but they don't have a blink up. 3 more seconds, and Matumba Man's running fast enough that they can't seem to get him. Bottom lane, Baby Knight's going to try and put a stop to this tier 2. Matumba Man does manage to make the TP out at top lane just ahead of that clap, and Liquid are going to take the other tier 2 on the other side of the map. Cloud9 defend one tower, but they can't defend both.
Well,
Come on,
continues
Hester
to look
Joe.
grim. Another rock being used.
There's a clap into an ultimate. Maybe he can actually get another support here, just like they got GH. Looks like they'll be able to defend this tier 2 tower near death and be able to pick up a support for their efforts. But Liquid are going to immediately play aggressive on the opposite side of the map. Knowing all those rotations came up, they're going to pop the Stampede. Ace has to play this perfectly. He needs to get off the Sunder before the jump in from Miracle here, but the Lincolns prevents all of this. So he just ends up dying like that. And I don't think even if he did get off the Sunder, Matumba Man was in the other side of things, so I don't think he would have gotten out one way or the other.
Yeah, not really an escape. And at this point, Cloud9 are committing ultimates for supports, like a Primal Split for a Dazzle, a Rock for a Crystal Maiden at top. It's not their intention by any means. They're going for the bigger prize, and they also, the only way they get these supports is by committing these ultimates, but it really tells the full tale of this game, which is an astronomical lead. 10,000 gold at 16 minutes, but it's also just the fact that Liquid's Lamp is going to scale better at this point. They've taken full control of the map. They've taken almost every single tier 2 tower, just the one at bottom lane remaining, and they're in a position where they could feasibly break through the high ground very early on. So they're going to even start chipping away with the bear.
All 3 cores beating on this tier 3 tower. Now, what they don't realize is there is a fresh Blink Dagger on Noya, and this could be big. This could be the opportunity for a turnaround for Cloud9. They're going to jump onto mind control, see if they can get the control into him, but Miracle! What a stomp to put everything on hold. He'll finish off Hester Joe rotten before any chance of Cloud9 finishing off that kill on mind control. Now it's the tier 3 being chipped away to death. The slow death for Cloud9, it seems, is Matumba Man one by one is going to be able to hit them down. Ace now gets jumped on by Miracle. Drop low. Sunder does go off. He's immediately going to drop anyway, but Matumba Man is low enough. Maybe not. I thought Baby Knight could actually get that kill, but he still has the Aegis. It's not worth committing. Melee Rax is under assault, and Liquid are a force not to be stopped at 18 minutes.
It is GG o'clock, Cap. There is nothing. There is nothing to turn. This game is like, I'm getting like, this is miserable to watch. I mean, if you're a Liquid fan, it's great. I'm not even from like a fan perspective of either of these teams, but just the way Liquid have dominated Cloud9. It's impressive, and Cloud9 have not had a single opening in this game. They have just taken small little scraps, and they've had to just throw so much to get those little scraps. It is brutal right now.
Almost a 15,000 gold lead by 18 minutes. There's the Mjolnir now complete. Mind Control has his Lincolns that we saw earlier and actually has a Dragonlance if he wants to. We're going to have an Aghanim Centaur. He's got Blink Pipe Ags. So if you thought the heroes were hard to kill before with Cloud9's lack of damage, it's going to get that much harder. But maybe, just maybe,
about to expire. He's going to be careful.
This would be the perfect time. Jump on Matu as the Aegis expires. Instead, they're going to see Kuro try and pop him. Don't have the damage. They don't have the distance. Now there's going to be a potential turnaround. They got the bugs on them. Mind Control's keeping them back. They go ahead and put the static charge onto Mind Control. Ace is trying to threaten that tier 1 tower. Liquid will wrap from that high ground, start attacking Ace. Ace is dropping low here just from the bear and the lightning proxy does have the thunder. The jump in for Miracle is able to finish him off. Matu's protected by mind control. The golem is dropped. They're trying to go into Miracle. Back lines. Baby Knight's going to threaten Matumba Man. He does have the corrosive Ace on him. Maybe they can actually get this kill until Kuro intervenes. They get the shallow grave off. Matu may still end up going down, but it's going to cost Cloud9 so much. They're going to lose Noya. They may just end up losing Hesta. Joe barely gets out of his ultimate in time. That was the last remaining Panda. Hesta Joe looks like he's just going to be walked on here. They do have a stomp coming in from the Centaur. That will be 3 down from Cloud9. They lost 2 of their cores, 1 of their support. It's just Baby Knight who walks away from that engagement. Cloud9, they got Matu finally, and they actually got them a good amount of gold.
They killed a core hero for once. That's a development for them, but that cost them every single ultimate. And then it's like Cloud9's meant to like win a fight convincingly, take a tower or 2 with their ultimates, and then have to back off and play defensively. Well, they got 1 kill and lost 3, and now they're going to have to back off and probably watch another Rax go down, if anything, because once Matu's back, TP's in, we're looking at Liquid pressing for high ground. 50 seconds, no metamorphosis, even longer without the split or the chaotic offering. Fighting right now is damn near impossible.
Mind control going Deso next, but that's probably more to do with how far ahead Liquid are and wanting to finish this game off than anything else. Miracle's got that Aghanim Scepter. Cloud9, meanwhile, there's really not much to talk about when it comes to items. Baby Knight is going to try and work towards a Blink Dagger after that Boots of Travel, but the thing is that Boots of Travel upgrade that it got, it doesn't really change how they do this fight. Liquid beating on the tier 3 towers, no responses from Cloud9. They have their Blink up, but they don't have the... Oh no! Blink Dagger canceled there on Noya. Looks like he got lightning shocked right before he wanted to jump in. Without the golems, it seems a futile effort for Cloud9 to try and contest. They're going to try and jump on a mind control. Miracle immediately responds. 2-man stomp. Shallow grave is there as well. GH on top of everything else with a freezing field. Ace is trying to target the backline, trying to go for Matu, but Matu's going to kite him around. He's now at a distance that he can turn, fight with the bear, gets the roots. Sunder goes off, trying to finish off Kuro, but the heals are too much to handle. He does finish off the bear, which actually kills Lone Druid the hero. So Baby Knight gets both the 300 gold and the kill for the kill. Hesta Joe, though, he's being targeted by Miracle, and the amount of magic damage they have, they'll bring him down. Baby Knight can still fight this one out, though. Maybe he can actually get a kill and a support. Never mind. They just seem too tanky. Baby Knight has to hide underneath a shrine, gets that one off, doesn't have a remnant for another second. They bring him down as well. I mean, there's buybacks, but at this point, I'm not sure if killing the supports are going to be able to bring this game back for Cloud9. Kuro manages to get out the shallow grave. They bring down Noya. Anyway, Baby Knight caught inside the Frostbite into a stomp. Remnant up, gets away, but Miracle's going to pursue. 3 more seconds till the Blink Dagger's up. Mind Control could just finish him off with physical damage. Instead, they wipe Cloud9 again and again and again, and finally beat them into submission, dominating this game 1. Liquid 22-6 in 22 minutes.
Yeah, this felt like more the Liquid like we were expecting to show up yesterday, just like crushing their lanes, having a dominant early game. Yesterday we saw them go for like a weak laning set where they had a Shadow Fiend with a Naga Siren. They did do an impressive job that game, like turning things around, coming back and securing their late game, but this is like, I think, the kind of Liquid that you want to see. You don't want to see them just always fall back to that late game carry-oriented play when they can go for this kind of aggressive lanes and just dominate using that early pressure in the off lane with the tri-lane. Miracle winning his 1v1 matchup. This was, all in all, just a very pristine performance from Team Liquid.
Systematic destruction of the Cloud9 lineup.